Alright, I just got back over here, and this can was loose. It was starting to unravel itself. Everything's fine here, no baffles or anything, but we're gonna have to find a solution. We might have to Loctite these, because it was like unraveling itself. Not a lot, but like a couple of turns, it was already loose. I heard some jiggling when I went to grab it, and I was like, oh man. Alright, so I guess that grease isn't a good idea. I'll strip it down with alcohol, or maybe some, still too hot. Some acetone. It's gonna be frustrating going back and forth though. Okay. Everything's fine. It's just starting to unravel. A little carbonized. Okay. That's our 9mm. Let me wipe off any excess. Yeah, still have to figure out a solution for that. I mean, you don't want it coming loose. And all I can think of is Loctite. How zoomed is this thing? Probably just staring at my fucking nose or something. Yeah, once you get it hand tight, it doesn't really budge much further. This is why everyone gets dedicated cans for everything, right? Oh well. It was an interesting thing to try, and even if we do get a dedicated 9mm with a tri-lug for the SP5, it's not like it's a waste. Come on, stock, please ship. Still a little spicy. A lot of carbon falling out of there. Hope it's not him. Let me get in there with a flashlight. Looks like carbon, but I don't know. It did come loose toward the end there. Let's run it. Worst case, we send it back, right? Shit. First use, it came loose. Not my fault. Alright. Like pieces of sand. Is that normal? I don't know. When I get home, I'll message Vance and say, hey, after first use, it came loose a little bit towards the end, and it's got lots of like fucking pepper coming out of it. Is that normal, or is something wrong? I don't know. First adopter and shit. I don't know what else to do. Alright. We'll see. Yeah, it definitely has a salt and pepper sound. Not anymore. A little more fell out. It's mostly black. I don't see any copper, though. Everything looks in... I don't see any pieces broken off or anything. It's almost like it's a bit of residual material from the process. Flip that to the other side. And here's the inside. I mean, I don't see anything wrong in there. Might have dodged a bullet at this time, but I gotta find a way to force these threads to retain. Even the direct thread, when you go to take it off, it starts to screw away from that. Now normally you use rock set, right? But you can't, since I've got to swap back and forth between the hub and the direct thread. I guess I'll have to acetone the threads on all the threads and use a little blue Loctite. I don't plan on running this in the short configuration, so I don't mind using a blue on this and just leave it big. And hopefully 3 or 4 dots of blue will have it, give it enough retention after it cures, but still be able to remove it and swap. That's my only viable solution, I guess. Alright, so basically, I cut it out of the main video. I just left the first video, but here's what it sounds like. But I did have a bit of an issue, and I was a little concerned about it. First run was 50 or 60, the 50-ish rounds of the Badlands Ammunition 300 black subs that Cody Curry was always pushing, you know, which are actually pretty good. I ran those in my Sandman. They're really quiet. So I ran those, and when I walked back to the table and grabbed my rag, I looked down at the gun as I went to remove the can, because I've been having issues since I got it assembling, is that it's unthreading. When you go to take it off, it's unthreading from the hub. And I looked at it, and it was like 1 or 2 threads off, like it was loosening itself as it fired. I was like, oh fuck. Usually when that happens, you run the risk of baffle strike. So I finished taking it off, and I did one of these, and it had a bit of like a rattle can sound. Like, oh no, fuck. Did it like work itself off? And then baffle strike is the concern. So I finished taking it off, grabbed the 2 rags, I separated the can, and this little black carbonized looking, kind of like a sand. It wasn't a shit ton. It was like a little pile, you know, like a tiny little bit. It was all, it was sprinkled everywhere. I pushed it together, took a picture for Vance so I could send it to him on the way home and ask about him. Now, if you feel inside the can, that 3D technology, the material, it feels sandy, almost like sandpaper. So I was like, maybe it's just some residual media left over in a brand new version. And once you put some pressure and some gunpowder through there, some of it kind of gets, you know, falls off or whatever. So anyway, I did that. I looked at it in the sun. My eyes kind of suck. So I was like, I'm going to have to look at it with a flashlight when I get home. But it looked okay. The spirals, everything. There was nothing out of place. Reassembled it. Put it back on. I wiped off the threads to get some of that suppressor grease I bought. That's probably a bad idea at this point in hindsight. And I threw it on the Kuna with the JMac Chemo MP5 brake on it. I tightened it up good. Then we ran the Kuna. Ran great. Sounded great. No issues. Finished that up. Walked back to the table. Let it cool off a little bit. I went to take it off, and it was unraveling from the hub again. It hadn't unraveled itself this time, but it was, when you go to pop it off, it's like unravels from the hub instead of the whole Chemo moving. So I used my flat wrench, and I broke that free and pulled it off. Wiped down the threads again. A little more stuff came out, not much. A little sprinkle of pepper kind of thing. And then I installed the direct thread mount, hub, whatever you call it. Tightened that down. Then I ran the SP5. Alright, everything ran great, no issues. Came back. But when I opened my garage door and started offloading all my shit, I immediately grabbed the flashlight, broke down the can, and started looking, and I did that video for Vance, actually. You know, like, hey brother, should I be concerned here? You know, shit. And I'm like, alright, so it's a bit of a catch-22. It turns out, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think that was, like he said, if there's no copper in there, more than likely there's a touch of residual material from the process, and that's what kind of came loose a little bit. And if it sounded fine after that happened and you ran a bunch of 9 through it and there's no issues, it's probably okay, but be mindful. So my issue is I have a hub and I have a direct thread. So you can't rock set it. You'll never get it off. I'm not going to do the boil method every time I want to swap guns. We're not going to bring a hot plate to the range and put a pot of water. So the only thing I can think of is acetone all the threads and use a little bit of Loctite blue, which isn't, you know, it's not red or rock set. So that's what I put on all my other hubs for my cans. Is I put a decent amount of Loctite blue on it, even though it's not as heat sensitive. People say it'll come loose. I haven't had a problem. After it cures, a day or two curing, and then take it to the range, and I've ran it. I don't immediately try to remove my cans from guns when they're smoking hot. I usually let them sit a while and cool down a bit, but I haven't had a problem. And if you, worst case, if you do want to swap it over, you can still remove Loctite. You can still unscrew something with Loctite. It takes a bit of, you know, ugga-dugga manually to get it off, but you can get it off, and it still retains like that white kind of crusty friction. So I guess that's what the next I'm going to move forward doing. I'm going to clean all the threads off with some acetone, get them nice and non-slick, and then do a few drops, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9, ... I'm not going to saturate it, but enough where it can work itself on and it's got decent coverage. And I'll do that. Now the top piece, it's a 2-piece can, but I don't really see the point on trying to run it on the short configuration. You're maximizing your suppression with the long. It doesn't weigh fuck all long anyway. I don't see why you'd even want to run it in the short configuration, but maybe there's some guys will say there's applications for it. If you're a door kicker or something and you don't want as much hanging off your muzzle, or I get that, but for now. So I'm gonna put a few dots of Loctite, put that on. We're gonna do all the threads and let it cure, and then go from there. So once my stock gets in, if it ever ships, we'll head back and do another session. I'm going to order some more 9mm. I still have a decent amount, but I'm going to grab a couple more thousand, get them in the door. Now that's just 115 Blazer and Magtech. I don't know. They sell Hush type 9mm, which would be, because it was a little spicy. It wasn't crazy. My ears weren't ringing, but I've seen some videos of guys who run this stuff. It's really expensive though, man. It's like 300 black type expensive. I'm like, fuck, that's... You know, I can live with the 115. It ran fine, except for that one little hiccup I had with the Kuna at the very end, where I went to do my final shot and it wouldn't load out of the mag, and then I racked it back and it flew out. It had a little dent, and I put it back in the mag and said, let's try it one more time, and it got like a stovepipe kind of thing going. I was like, all right. And I looked at it and I was like, fuck it, I just tossed it at the berm. Whatever. Other than that, though, everything ran great. I didn't have any real issues. The ejection pattern I was watching, the video of the Kuna, it wasn't as forceful as I like to see. It was kind of like dribbling out, but it didn't have any issues. SP5 ran like a fucking top. If the Kuna, it was a lube, like I told the guy in the comment, it's kind of like a sandy Vaseline. The SP5 felt like Astro Lube and KY. You know, it's fucking like super slick. You can fit a Cadillac in a doghouse with that shit. That's how it felt like, just smooth. And it's not easy when there's no stock or brace. So but even then, it was like butter. So I can't wait for my stock to arrive. We're gonna rock and roll that a lot. You can see a lot of videos on the SP5. I got my first real HK, and we're gonna shoot the fucking piss out of that bitch. And then we'll probably get an SP5K. All right, good times. As soon as I pay off my credit cards. My current balance could feed a small Ethiopian village for about 3 to 6 months, I'm guessing. But fuck those people. I need my German guns. That's it. So I'll keep an eye on it. I'll do the thing with the threads and hope for the best. You know, it's fine, I think, but it kind of scared the shit out of me. Day one with the can, and you're getting the material. Like, oh. But it is the whole 3D printing thing it's so different. So Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that, so that's cool. Anyway, have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for stopping by the channel, as always. Haters and lovers and everybody in between, I do appreciate you all. Thank you. I'm going to have a couple more beers and go strip some threads with acetone. That's my Saturday night. Until next time, your boy, with Merlin the Rottweiler. Ozzy over there chilling. Until next time, your boy, Merlin, America. Peace.